The Warriors Unbound map was just revealed in Rise of Kingdoms, and it looks freaking sick. So stick around in this video for a full map review of where the passes are, the holy sites, the altars of darkness, and the ruins that you'll need to capture so that you can figure out whether or not you want to play this KvK format. And spoiler alert, I think this might be one of the best KvKs yet. Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and today's video is sponsored by the makers of Rise of Kingdoms. And this new KvK format, Warriors Unbound, is in my opinion one of the coolest looking KvKs so far. And there's two reasons for this. One reason is that the map looks dope. The other is the artifact system, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. But the thing that I really like about the design of this KvK is they have huge open spaces with many kingdoms that you can battle and choices that you can make so that you can fight one kingdom or another, but either way you decide which way you're going to go. Or you could be like 846, say you're going to go both ways and then not go both ways. Not that anybody remembers that happened. A card will be up in the top from that KvK of going both ways. But let's start with the artifact system, and then I'll show you the map. The artifact system, as a reminder, is something that you equip to your secondary commander that lets all of the skills of a commander apply to a different troop type. So theoretically, and I haven't seen this in game yet, but theoretically, if it were to buff all archers like Esong, it might now buff all infantry or all cavalry. So you could have a cavalry AoE Esong madman, which seems really cool. So that aspect of this KvK I'm really into, even though I haven't gotten my hands onto it yet. However, the thing that you're here for is the map review. And this, by the way, is now available in-game for the very first time. So let's get a look at this map, and I'll also show you a much more easier to understand condensed view because you can only zoom out so much here. So don't worry, I've got your back. I'll have a map that you can even download. I'll post it on my Discord server. That's discord.gg/Chisgule. And if you're, by the way, someone who likes making really high quality maps, definitely get in touch with me because I would be interested in your drawing, which is assuredly better than mine is. Let's start in the upper right, okay? There are 6 kingdoms, or really war camps, in this KvK. There is the upper right, bottom left, upper left, and there is middle bottom and middle top. Now, whichever one of these camps you start in, you have choices. Pass 4 will be the first that opens, and you can either go to your left or to your right. Or, while I suppose if you're in one of the corners, the directions will change ever so slightly. Either way, you have 2 directions you can go, which means there's 2 different war camps you can choose to fight during your KvK. Now, in your starting zone, you've got 3, count them 3, of these, which is the Crusader camps, and you have 2 ruins, which is standard sort of stuff. I honestly don't know why there's value to having a ruins in a starting zone. I get we want to grind honor, but like, go stand in a ruins is kind of like an outdated thing. Like, I get it's like an attention check. Are you paying attention? But like, I don't know, man. Is it really adding fun? So just my 2 cents there is maybe we could look at what ruins are really serving, what their function really is. Now, the pass 5s are where things start to get interesting. And this is a little bit weird because you have the option of fighting a kingdom that you've already fought in a brand new zone. So let me show you what I mean. If you're in the upper right, the pass is open into this nice chunky middle zone over here, San Pedro. And the bottom right will have the same option of going into that zone. Well, wait a minute. You already could have fought this kingdom in the bottom right when you fought in these echoing plains. So what that means is that you probably want to fight the kingdom that you're going to fight again in the next zone, because if you don't fight them and nobody fights them and they enter into this zone full strength, and you battled against somebody else and are now weaker, I'm just saying you might want to fight the same enemy twice. That way you weaken them and they weaken you at the same time. And you go into this zone at equal strength. right? Because you've at least battled them already and worn each other down, instead of potentially having an opponent that's coming in super fresh and you're not super fresh. Now, if we cruise around the map a little bit, that means that bottom middle will first fight bottom left in this zone, one of these center zones. That also means top left will fight top middle for control of one of these middle zones as well. Now from here, things get kind of interesting. Let's say that you're super successful in San Pedro. You started in the upper right, you make your way into San Pedro, you get the win. Where can you go from here? This is where Pass 6 is open. From there, you have a way into a zone you've already won, potentially. That is the sort of Zone 5 that we were reviewing earlier, the one that the Pass 4 is opened into. Are there any other zones that you can access? Well, yes, you can. So from this middle zone, now you can start to invade one of the Zone 5s of a kingdom you have not fought yet. So this is where you can start to make your way around the map, because you can see here's a Pass 6. And assuming that these passes are not semi-protected, you might be able to even go all the way around the map to new middle zones over here, potentially. I don't know if these are going to be semi-protected or not, but you could theoretically make your way around the map. Now, if you can't make your way around the map, the good news is that there's Pass 7s. And when the Pass 7s open, then you can fight across the map for sure at that point for these middle zones, and then you'll have Kingsland. That's the flow of this map, okay? And there are 2 Herons in the Zone 5 that you get to conquer initially. Now, those Herons, strangely enough, all have troop defense. All of them. So what's weird about these holy sites is that they don't stack, which means you'll have 2 coalitions that ultimately want to go and get those. So theoretically, if you were allied with one of these kingdoms in the corner, you could split the zone and both have a defense holy site. And if I look around the map, like, it's defense literally all the way around the map. The other thing that's a little weird is the holy sites that are in those middle big zones, which is that they've got circles. And these circles, are they the same for each of these zones? We have a healing speed hospital capacity over here. We go up to the next one. And by the way, it's amazing that we have healing speed hospital capacity. That is a great circle. We have this totally worthless circle, which does reinforcement capacity for your city and watchtower defense. I do suppose that watchtower defense, although that's worthless, the reinforcement capacity is nice when you're reinforcing garrisons. And then over here, we have hospital healing speed and capacity again. Well, why are we being duplicative here? And we know that we have this one worthless circle over here that's doing, you know, the reinforcement capacity. But wait a minute. We have healing speed over here in this other zone. And we have a different circle. I think it's here. There's a different circle. AP recovery, I mean, that's got some value. Counterattack damage taken reduction, that's got big value. So weirdly enough, one of these zones, I guess we'll call them Zone 6s, is better than the others. And if I scroll all the way up, is there this same disparity? I mean, look, personally, I would rather have the counterattack damage taken reduction, and the AP recovery is some huge economic value rather than the reinforcement capacity. And here's another really good one. We've got counterattack damage taken reduction and the AP recovery. There it is again. So 2 of these zones are actually kind of better than the other one. And this one has reinforcement capacity and watchtower. Weird. I don't know. For whatever reason, unless I looked at the map wrong, let me know down below in the comments, this zone has double healing speed hospital capacity. But remember, these do not stack. You can only get the benefit of 1 per coalition. So you could theoretically have a second coalition that benefits, but it's just interesting and different, and I don't know why it's different. Okay? Now, let's get a look at a zoomed out map to just make this a little bit easier to view. Oh, and for the record, there is a sanctuary as well, 2 of them, in these really huge zones, and those sanctuaries give march speed, okay? All of them give march speed, which is the same thing. Again, they don't stack, so you only need 1. So if we look at a zoomed out version of the map, and by the way, I grabbed this one from the Russian update video, so you've already seen this map if you're subscribed to the channel, and if you aren't subscribed, Consider subscribing for daily Rise of Kingdoms videos designed to help you get value and smash your enemies. I've made over 2,000 videos designed to make you a better player in Rise of Kingdoms, and if you've enjoyed this video so far, do me that huge favor of throwing a like on the video. From here, I want to show you the map that I made, illustrating all the different passes. The first thing that you do is that you're going to go, and we'll play this like we're the top right, just like we did together a moment ago. We'll pick our color over here as red. You can either invade this zone or invade this zone at the start. So initially, you've got the pass 4s, which are marked in black. Now, from there, you can fight a kingdom you've already fought by going down into this middle zone, which is definitely where you're going to want to go when the pass 5's open. That's a big zone. It's an important zone to get control of. It's also very hard to get control of because it's so damn huge. From here, you gain access to one more zone 5 that you hadn't had access to before, and assuming that these are not semi-protected passes, you could theoretically make your way kind of all the way around the map at this point, theoretically. However, I don't know that they won't be semi-protected. They might be. So let's assume they are semi-protected. Pass 7s are when you're next going to be able to really attack the map, and at that point, the whole map would be available to you. And then lastly, there will be Kingsland. Now, what's interesting about these huge zones is that you have to keep in mind that the meta in Rise of Kingdoms for a zone like this is that you fill it with territory, you fill it with flags, you fill it with forts, and it's just such a damn huge zone that's going to be very hard to do. But the reason you fill the zone is to prevent fort drops. And so what you'll often see is a ton of stupid freaking forts built all on top of each other on these passes with no way to get by for days, but then the zone is totally full, so you can't fort drop. But in this world in which there's just so much territory, fort drops are far more possible than they would have been otherwise. So it is conceivable that you could zone invade, okay, one way or the other, with a fort drop into the enemy's territory, which is pretty cool. So overall, I think this map is pretty hype. Overall, I think the flow of the zones could be pretty hype. The only thing that I find a little bit weird is that although you are sort of given the opportunity to fight multiple kingdoms at the start like I've shown, you have to remember that certain camps will fight each other later, right? So these camps fight each other later. So really, there's sort of one kingdom you should primarily focus on because you're gonna fight them again. And if you're a smaller kingdom, if you're a weaker kingdom, you don't want to potentially deplete your resources battling multiple kingdoms out the gates. Because as we've seen with other kingdoms that have said they would do this in the past, they learn very quickly that trying to fight 2 war camps at the same time might not work out as well as you'd hope. So overall, I'm giving this KvK a thumbs up from at least the perspective of how I think it's going to be. But unfortunately, I got match not found when my restart kingdom, which is an A kingdom, it's not like it's a particularly difficult kingdom to match, didn't make it through the matchmaking, which makes me, I'm sad. Chisgule is sad that although I would be in the pioneer group playing this KvK for the first time, I'll just have to watch from the sidelines. But if you want to see live stream coverage of this KvK format, as soon as it's available, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you actually made it into this KvK, definitely let me know because I'm going to want lots of screenshots and details about the way things work, including the timeline for the KvK, including the way these artifacts work. So definitely let me know in my Discord server if you're willing to provide lots of information. And if you're newer to my channel and want to see this go both ways KvK that I'm referencing, I'll have a card in the end screen for the massive multi-Imperium KvK that I played in, where a kingdom promised they'd go both ways, but then did not fulfill their promise. Bro, I'm basically a Rise of Kingdoms historian. Did you think I would forget? Did you think I would forget what you promised? Check out the card in the end screen.